Hi, I'm Lauren. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and thanks for watching. So today we're going to be talking about having purposeful faith while we're waiting. So I define purposeful faith as faith that is active, faith that you are using to bring about what God has promised to you. And we'll talk a little bit later why that's important. So last week, a minister prayed over me and he pretty much said that what God has spoken to me in terms of promises he gave to me or that they were still valid, they were still good. And so, I left the altar crying, but then the next day I was like, okay, well, how I was thinking to myself, how does this help me? Because there are a lot of people who, God promised them things and they went to their grave without that promise being manifested. And so I was thinking to myself, well, how can I bring about uh what this minister was saying? And so I have four keys, which I think will help us in terms of bringing about, and I've noticed some things even the past couple of weeks, some things that have opened up uh doors of opportunity because of these four keys that I'm about to give you. So before I get to those four keys, let's talk first about two main chapters, Nehemiah chapter 4 and Esther chapter 2. So in Nehemiah chapter 4, you have Nehemiah, he was a leader for rebuilding the temple walls of Jerusalem. You have to go back. I think the walls had burned down or something. There was a king that had uh, put a decree for it to be destroyed, but just go back and read prior chapters. But in chapter 4, it says that half of the servants were they were the workers, actually doing the work on the wall. Then the other half, they had been set up as watchmen and they were set up high. They were always ready for battle. And if you go to Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 9, it says that the watchmen only took off their clothes and washing. So they were always ready for battle. So now let's go to Esther chapter 2. In Esther chapter 2, this tells us that Esther spent a 12-month period, which is pretty long, 12-month period, purifying herself before she was to be presented to King Asarius. So these two scriptures let us know that one, we need to be prepared and that there's a process. There's a time between what God has said and here it is. So in between the time of what God has said and here it is, what are we to do? And I think the four keys I'm going to give you right now will help us. And so the word that we're going to use is cope. So if we speak about cope, the letter C stands for um conscious communication. So when we talk about Numbers chapter 13, verse 33, it says that this is where Moses has sent out spies. The spies were in the land for 40 days. They came back with fruit. Even though they came back with fruit of the land, and Caleb was the only person who said, oh, we're well able, we can do this, we can conquer. The other spies said, no, we can't do this. We were like grasshoppers in our own sights, therefore we're grasshoppers in the sights uh of the sons of Anak. So they had saw the Amalekites, they saw all these other people there, and they said, we can't take them, we can't conquer this land. So you need to be conscious of your communication because their own perception of what they saw, who they saw themselves to be, uh, that was projected onto their enemies. Okay, so key number two, O stands for operate with dedication. So if we go back to Esther chapter 2, Esther was dedicated. That was a long, 12 months was a long time to be washing, purifying yourself. And look, she wasn't even guaranteed to be his wife. This was just on the chance, an opportunity. And she spent 12 months just on an opportunity. Wow, that is powerful. You spend all that time just on opportunity. But look at how beneficial it was for her. Because after he saw her, he said he didn't need to see anybody else. He had found the one that he needed. So how powerful is that? So now let's go on to letter P. P stands for prepare for change. You always need to stay ready for a transition. Going back to Nehemiah chapter 4, we spoke about those watchmen. They were always ready. So you'll know that you are prepared when one, you take the time to reflect and you're led by the Holy Spirit when you're making decisions. And then two, you're hearing more from God regarding your plans. Now, sometimes the last part I just said, you'll have to have some discernment about that because sometimes God really is just silent. But if you really, really need an answer, just go to him. Okay, so the last letter is E, embrace you. This is the time where you need to stay grounded in yourself. This is not the time to try to figure out who you are, figure out your character. You should have already done that. Of course, this can evolve, but you need to stay grounded in who you are. If you are going to remain, have active faith, purposeful faith, you need to stay grounded in who you are as a person because otherwise, fear will try to creep in, doubt will try to creep in, distractions will try to creep in, and those things will override your faith because you aren't grounded in who you are. So, again, we said COPE. Again, those four keys for the word COPE were C, conscious communication, O, operate with dedication, P, prepare for change, and E, embrace you. So I hope that was helpful. And if you want me to go further into some of that, just let me know in the comment section. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Talk to you later. Bye bye.